Robert went on a business trip but returned home a day earlier. He found his wife in the bedroom, reading. Do you think she's lying to him? Yes, Robert's wife is overdressed for a reading night. Also, look, there's someone's foot under the bed. Now your task will be to decide which person of the two is in the wrong. Ready? Here's the first one. Quinn and Eliza can't swim. This summer, they both decided to learn how to do it finally. Quinn went to the river near her house. Eliza went to the lake with her friends. They both jumped into the water alone. Who's in greater danger? Quinn. If she starts drowning, no one will be able to help her. Also, the water in the river isn't steady, so it's dangerous to learn there. Chloe and Everly went to go to a party their classmates are throwing, but it's a school night, so their parents banned them from going. Chloe decided to go out of her bedroom window, and Everly wanted to sneak out from the back door. Who won't make it to the party tonight? Everly, most probably. Chloe is acting quite risky, but she might manage the trip. But Everly's mom is right there around the corner, reading. She'll definitely see her daughter trying to sneak out. Hazley and Annabelle plan to go to the movies with their friends tonight. Meanwhile, they're enjoying a hot summer day. Who is not going to make it to the movies? Hazley. She's about to cook the meat that has been standing in the sun for a while. By the evening, she'll probably get food poisoning. Liberty and Cleo went on vacation to Greece. Now they're about to jump off a cliff. Who's in danger? Liberty. There are rocks under the cliff she's about to jump from. Nova made her daughter stay at home and study instead of going to a friend's birthday party. Allison's daughter had to spend the entire day in her bedroom instead of going to the movies. Teenagers come down to dinner at 7 o'clock. Which parent didn't notice they were being lied to? Nova. It's raining and her daughter has wet hair. It means she was outside and not sitting in her bedroom. Beth and Kylie are having fun outside during their winter break. Beth is learning how to skate on the lake, and Kylie is skiing in the forest. Who is not smart? Beth. The ice on the lake is cracking and there's no one around to help her. William and Daniel are driving to work and they're both running very late. Who's doing something really wrong? Daniel. He's driving way over the speed limit in the neighborhood. All the money from the city bank was taken in the middle of the day without anybody noticing. The room where it was stored was found completely empty, not counting a signature note saying 7718. The police arrested 3 most known criminals in the city, Bill, Dove, and Alex. The problem was that they didn't know which one was the robber because they didn't find any fingerprints. What's your call, detective? If you turn the paper around, the numbers will turn into a name. Bill. He must be the robber this time. Right before sunset, a peasant boy was caught by the king's palace. The king was very mad and didn't want to let him go just like that. He loved all kinds of riddles, so he gave the boy a chance to escape. He said that the boy could walk out of any of the 3 doors, and if he stayed safe, he'd be free. Behind the first door, there was a huge pot with water that was boiled just in the morning. Behind the second door, there were 3 hungry lions. Behind the third door, there was a raging fire. The boy made his choice and managed to leave. Which door did he walk out of? He walked out of the first door. If the water was boiled in the morning, by sunset it would already be barely warm. Mrs. Quinn, a mother of 4, went to work. She left a $50 bill on the kitchen table for her oldest daughter, Katie, to go shopping. Later that day, Katie told her that she couldn't find it. Mrs. Quinn told her to look for it, and Katie asked each one of her siblings. Serena texted, "The money was there, but I didn't touch it." Hannah texted, "I put it under some plates so that it doesn't fly away." Della texted, "There was a pile of yesterday's junk mail. I threw it away. Maybe the money was there. Who took the money?" It must have been Della. There was no mail when Mrs. Quinn left the bill on the table, so Della is making things up. Aurora and Autumn were spending their summer in the countryside. They loved to go on long walks and explore the surroundings. One day, they found an abandoned hotel and just walked in. Everything there was crushed, and the glass was shattered. They took some photos and were looking through them at home. One of the photos scared them. Which one and why? Probably this one. Look, there's a mirror, and they're not reflected in it. Amelia and Dakota are sisters. Their grandmother gave Amelia a bracelet, but they both loved it. So Dakota often steals the bracelet from her. Once, Amelia came home and noticed that the bracelet was gone. She knocked on her sister's door. Dakota opened the door but noticed that it was her sister and shut it. A bit later, Amelia broke into the room and started searching for the bracelet, but she didn't find it anywhere. On her way out, she remembered something and managed to find her bracelet. Where was it? Amelia remembered that when Dakota opened the door, she was wearing a t-shirt. The next time, she was already wearing a long-sleeve shirt. She put on the bracelet and was hiding it under the sleeve. That's why Amelia didn't find it in the room. Spencer woke up in a dungeon. She didn't know what had happened, but there was a door. Spencer tried to open it, but it was shut. There were 3 buttons. On one button, there was a circle. On the second one, there was a triangle. On the third one, there was a rectangle. One button will set her free, and the other 2 will lock the door forever. There was a note saying 1, 5, 7, 11. Which button should she press to get out? You might have noticed that there's a clock right above the door, and it's there for a reason. If you draw lines connecting 1, 5, 7, and 11, you will get the shape of a rectangle. So Spencer should press the button with a rectangle on it. Lucas, the heir of a rich gentleman, visited his cousin, Kai, for a cup of tea. They were talking about water polo when suddenly Lucas couldn't breathe anymore. Kai called the doctor, who said that Lucas had been poisoned. Both men were drinking the exact same tea. How did Kai manage to poison his cousin? The poison must have been on Lucas's cup. When he touched it with his lips, he probably licked it off. There's a town where it's only allowed to have fun and eat candy. No one ever reads or studies. Mrs. Relham came home after a long and fun day at the club. Her 3 daughters spent a fun day at home. She asked them what they'd been doing. Hannah said that she was watching TV all day long. Elle said that she spent the day in a water park. Ava said that she and her friends had a candy-eating marathon. Still, Mrs. Relham could tell that one of her daughters lied and actually spent all day reading. Who was it? It was Hannah. Take a closer look at the books on her table. Most of them have perfect spines, but this one has a bent spine, so Hannah was reading it. The woman called the police and reported that she'd been robbed. Here's a recording of what she said. "I went to the ladies' room to fix my makeup because I was on a date. Suddenly, someone approached me from behind and hit me on the head with something heavy. I blacked out, and it took me several minutes to come. I'm still feeling dizzy. I don't know what the person looked like. I didn't see anything. I was reapplying my lipstick." The police refused to fill in the report and sent her home. Why? If the woman was applying her lipstick, she must have been looking in that huge mirror every bathroom has. No one could have approached her from behind without her noticing it. She probably just lied and made up the whole story. An iced tea cafe owner reported that someone had stolen all the money when he had left for 2 minutes. The police interrogated 3 customers. Tatum, a teenager, said that she'd been listening to music and minding her own business. Charles, a middle-aged man, said that he'd just arrived a couple of minutes ago and hadn't seen anything. Skylar, a doctor, said that she had been focusing on her book and her drink and had seen nothing. Who's guilty? Charles said that he'd just arrived, but look, the ice in his drink has melted. He definitely has been there for a while, not just a couple of minutes. A wealthy man, Mr. Johnson, had a precious vase that he valued more than all other belongings. One day, the vase disappeared. The man was miserable. An hour after he discovered it was missing, he got a message. "If you don't come here in 10 minutes with $100,000, your vase will be broken." There was a photo attached to the message. Mr. Johnson realized it was some hotel. In that area, there were 3 of them: the Hero of California, Hummingbird, and Youth Hostel. Where should the man go? Mr. Johnson should hurry to Hummingbird. It's the only hotel that has the 7th floor. Amanda was in the middle of a burning room. The only window was small and too high for the woman to reach. There was also nothing to climb or stand on. There was no rope, neither was there a door. And still, in a matter of seconds, Amanda was outside. How is it possible? There was no door in the room. The woman just ran out through the doorway. A woman is sitting in her cabin in Ohio, but 4 hours later, she gets out of her cabin in Arizona. How did she do it? The woman is a pilot, and the cabin is actually the cockpit of the plane she flies. One night, Kevin broke into a rich house. He knew its owner had just bought a unique diamond. The thief managed to get through one of the trickiest security systems he'd ever seen. And here it was, the diamond. After grabbing the gem, Kevin got out of the house, but when he was already outside the gate, 2 security guards caught him. The guy tried to persuade the men he was only a passerby, but they didn't believe him. They searched Kevin, but found nothing. The guards were puzzled and decided the thief had swallowed the diamond. But X-ray also didn't show anything strange. The security guards had to let Kevin go. The guy got home, and in a few minutes, he had the diamond in his hands. How did he smuggle it? When Kevin broke into the house, he wasn't alone. His parrot was with him. After getting the precious stone, the guy attached it to the parrot's foot, and the bird brought the diamond back home. Paul was a young but very talented chemist. He was going to attend a very important conference where he had to present his latest work. But right before the event, Paul's envious colleague locked the guy in his lab. There was no way he could get out of there on his own. In the middle of the room, there was a test tube with some bright purple liquid inside. There was also a note. "This mixture will blow up in 1 minute. You've got only one chance to neutralize it with one of these ingredients. If you add the correct one, the reaction will stop. Here's the clue you'll need to figure out the needed ingredient. HIJKLMNO. And don't hope your chemical knowledge will help here. Luckily, Paul was very smart and managed to find the right ingredient before the time ran out. Which one was it? It's a row of letters from H to O. It means the needed ingredient is H2O, which is water. 2 identical vans were crossing the bridge when it collapsed. The car fell into the water and started to sink. Luckily, the drivers were unharmed. But they had to find the way to the surface really fast because the vans started to fill with water. One of the men began to push the driver's door, and the other was trying to open the side door. Who has the higher chances of survival? The first driver won't be able to open the door because of the water pressure. But the side door in the second car is a sliding one. With some effort, the second driver will be able to open it and escape. One person can dig a hole within 1 day. Then, how long will it take 2 people to dig half a hole? There's no such thing as half a hole. Look at these pictures and try to figure out which mirror is magical. It's the one on the right. It shows the man wearing a mustache, but in real life, his face is clean-shaven. Betty was having lunch in her favorite cafe when several police officers came in. They were looking for a criminal who had escaped from the police station the day before. Betty started to look around, examining the visitors. She spotted the criminal even faster than the officers did. Who was it? Look at the barman. He's wearing handcuffs. Daniel wanted to go to the seaside with his friends in the summer, but his father reminded the guy he'd promised to help in his parents' store. When the man saw how upset his son was, he offered him a deal. Daniel had to solve several riddles and then he'd be free to go and have fun with his friends. So, our customers often ask us to sell them something that's full of holes but can still hold water. What should we offer them? After a while, Daniel found the right answer. What's this mysterious thing? It's a sponge. Daniel's father continued, I'm thinking of introducing a new method of pricing the things we sell. Socks will cost $20. A tie will be $12. You'll have to pay $28 for a sweater. And a coat will cost $16. Based on this pricing method, how much will be a t-shirt? Do you know the answer? Daniel was confused at first, but then he realized the correct answer was $24. His father was going to charge $4 for each letter needed to spell the item of clothing. You're doing really well, Daniel's father told the guy. That's why I'll give you just one more riddle. If you crack it, you can have some rest in the summer. 81 times 9 equals 801. This equation isn't correct. What can you do to make it true? This riddle took Daniel quite a while. And how fast can you solve it? All Daniel had to do was turn the equation upside down. Luckily, the guy managed to figure it out. He got 108 equals 6 times 18. Jason was a courier who regularly delivered food and other stuff to Mrs. Brown. The elderly lady really liked him a lot. She trusted him enough to let the guy use her spare key. The lady kept it under her doormat. When Mrs. Brown was away, Jason would take this key and leave everything he brought inside. One day, the guy came to the woman's house and found out the key wasn't in its usual place. He rang the bell, and a man he'd never seen before opened the door. I'm an electrician, he said. I was fixing some lighting problems in the living room, and the elderly lady is resting now. Jason immediately called the police. Why? The criminal entered the house with the help of the spare key. Paul came back from his lunch break and saw that someone had spilled coffee all over his documents. He cried out, and this attracted his boss's attention. The man decided to figure out who had spoiled Paul's work. He asked his subordinates what they had been doing during their lunch break. Nancy and Liza said they had been together. They went to a cafe to get some coffee. Brian explained that he'd felt unwell. That's why he decided to take a walk in the park. And Sandra said that she'd been talking to her boyfriend on the phone. The boss immediately realized who was lying. Can you figure it out? It was Sandra. There's a sign on the wall that prohibits the employees to use their phones in the office. It means the girl couldn't be speaking with her boyfriend. A wealthy businessman disappeared right from his home one afternoon. His wife called the police. The detective arrived and questioned everyone who was in the house at that time. The cook said that she'd been preparing dinner and hadn't left the kitchen. The maid claims she had been cleaning the dining room after the businessman and his wife had had lunch. And the wife said that after lunch, she'd been sunbathing and swimming in the pool. The detective immediately realized who was behind the man's disappearance. Do you know the answer? It was the wife. Look outside. It's late fall and there's no water in the swimming pool. Jeffrey was on a plane, ready to have his first parachute jump, when he started to panic. Without putting on his parachute, the guy jumped out of the plane, and still, he remained absolutely unharmed. How is it possible? The plane was still on the ground. There's a large apple tree growing on a cliff. If a powerful wind is blowing towards the land, where will the apples fall? In any case, they will fall down.
Mr. Morrison was the owner of a small company. Only 4 people worked there. One day, he came to the office and didn't find his favorite slippers. He always put them on while working. The man searched everywhere and finally spotted them on the roof of the building. Mr. Morrison was furious. He entered the office and started to question his employees. Daniel said, "I don't even know where you keep your slippers." Andrew said, "I'm terrified of heights. I have never climbed up there." Sandra said, "I'm wearing high heels today. I can hardly walk in them." Emily said, "I respect you too much to do it to you." One of the employees is lying. Who is it? It's Andrew. He said he was afraid of heights. But on his table, there's a photo in which he's skydiving with a parachute. Uh-oh. Melissa's boyfriend proposed to her and presented a beautiful diamond ring. The girl was afraid of losing it. That's why she kept it in a box on her vanity table. Once, after a long and difficult working day, the girl came home and went straight to bed. When she woke up, the ring was gone. Melissa called the police. They asked 3 suspects, Melissa's roommate, her best friend, and her neighbor, what they had been doing the night before. Helen, Melissa's roommate for the last 3 years, said Melissa had indeed looked very tired. She took the tea Helen made for her and went to her room at 10 p.m. Helen went to bed shortly after. Eric, Melissa's best friend, said he had come to visit Melissa at about 11:30 p.m. The girl was already sleeping, but he saw a jewelry box lying open on the table. It was empty. Eric was surprised and left immediately after that. Brenda, the neighbor, said she wanted to borrow a book from Melissa, but when she called her, the girl didn't answer. So Brenda decided not to bother her so late at night. The police soon realized one of these people was lying. Who was it? It was Eric. He was only asked what he had been doing the evening before, but he mentioned the jewelry box. He must have known the ring was missing because he took it. A group of friends went camping. They found a beautiful place in the forest near the river. They were planning to spend a week there, but on the 3rd day, Chris disappeared. The rest of the group gathered near a campfire to figure out where he could be. Paul said, "We didn't have enough firewood. I went deeper into the forest to get some. When I came back, Chris was already gone." Ashley said, "I was near the river washing my t-shirt. I stained it with ketchup during lunch." Nancy said, "I felt unwell, so I decided to take a nap. I was sleeping when an owl woke me up." One of the young people is lying. Do you know who it is? It's Nancy. Owls sleep during the day. It means an owl couldn't have woken the girl. Someone started a gas leak in Mark's apartment. Luckily, the man noticed it. He called the police. After searching the place, they found a watch. Mark claimed it wasn't his. The detective decided to set up an ambush. The watch looked expensive. Surely the criminal would return to get it back. At around midnight, they heard the key turn in the door lock. In a while, a man came in. He was holding a lit candle in his hands. At first, the detective wanted to arrest the man, but after a while, he realized it wasn't the person they had been waiting for. How did he figure it out? Whatever the man was doing in Mark's apartment, he wasn't the one responsible for the gas leak. That criminal wouldn't have entered the apartment holding a burning candle. They would be sure the place was still full of gas. The police found out one particular gang was going to rob a bank. An undercover agent was sent to the restaurant where the criminals always gathered in the evening. His task was to attach a tiny GPS tracker to one of the gang members. Then the police would know about their location and would be able to prevent the robbery. The leader of the gang was the mastermind of the group. All other members were just muscle. The undercover officer had to be very attentive around the leader. The man could easily spot the device, but no other gang member would notice it. Where should the agent place the tracker? On the gang leader's backpack. He's the only person who can spot the device, but not if it's on his own back. Police got a call from the house of a wealthy man. He didn't come home after going for a jog. When several police officers arrived, they questioned all the people in the house. They were the maid, the millionaire's wife, and his driver. The maid said, "When Mr. Jones went for a jog, he asked me to prepare his breakfast. I immediately got down to work. But it's been 3 hours and he hasn't returned yet." The wife was worried too. "I saw him in the morning, but he was in a hurry. We just greeted each other and I went to work." The driver told the police he had been waiting for his boss in the car, scrolling through his social media. Who knows something about the millionaire's disappearance? The maid is lying. If she had cut the apples for breakfast 3 hours ago, they would have already turned brown by now. Shirley got a new job as a sales assistant. She was extremely happy to receive her first salary. She went out for a walk in the park and decided to treat herself to some ice cream. She pulled out cash, but a powerful gust of wind has blown the money out of her hands. The girl managed to pick it up, but then she realized one $10 bill was missing. Shirley looked around. One of these people must have taken the bill. Can you figure out who it was? It's the man in the red baseball cap. The bill is under his right foot. Detective Larson was walking along the street. Suddenly, he saw a man grab an elderly woman's bag and run away. The detective immediately rushed after the criminal, but the man disappeared behind the kitchen door of a small restaurant. When Detective Larson entered, he saw 3 cooks preparing food. Which cook is fake? It's the man holding the salad bowl. He's the only one not wearing gloves. People began to disappear in a large town. 1 month after it started, the police came across an abandoned house. In its basement, they found 2 men. Each of them claimed that he had been locked up there and that the other man was the one to keep him in the basement. But it was clear that only one of them was telling the truth. Look at these men attentively and say who's the liar. It's the man who's smiling. If he had spent 4 weeks locked up, he would have a beard and mustache by now. But he's clean-shaven. Rachel Brown, the owner of a large and successful company, has disappeared right from her office. The police suspect that some of her subordinates might know where the woman is. They question 3 people. Ruth, the HR manager, is the first to enter. "We were going to fire an employee that day. I came to get Miss Brown's signature." Adam, the accountant, says, "I indeed came to her office. She had to approve the company's budget for the next year." Anne, the secretary, comes in last. "I saw Ms. Brown today, but only for a minute or so. I asked her to sign my leave request." The police officers immediately realize who is lying. Can you figure it out too? Anne is lying. The signature on her documents is different from the others. Plus, she is the person Ruth was going to fire that day. Martin bought a car in September, and now, just a month later, it's stolen. The police have 4 suspects, and all of them are Martin's friends. The crime happened at 10 p.m. on Wednesday. At that time, Alan was playing badminton in the park. Natalie was driving home from work. Roy was walking with his dog, and Rose was doing some grocery shopping. Who took Martin's car? It was Alan. At 10 p.m. in October, it's too dark to play badminton. Eric was having lunch in a cafe. At some moment, he went to the bathroom and left his smartphone on the table. But when he came back, the phone was gone. Eric saw a man leaving the cafe and hurried after him. The guy only caught up with the man when he was about to sit in his car. Eric asked the man to give him his gadget back. But the man looked confused. "I know nothing about your phone. I only gave my friends a lift. They work over there." And he pointed at 2 men entering an office building. After hearing this, Eric immediately called the police. Why? The man lied. His car was a sports convertible with just 2 seats. Such a car wouldn't fit 3 men. Oh, by the way, you get extra points if you caught the fact that Eric called the police. With what? His smartphone had been stolen. On the weekend, Ashley wanted to go to the party her classmate was throwing, but her father didn't let her go. So, Ashley asked if she could go visit her grandparents instead. They had recently moved to a nice 1-story country house. This time, her father happily agreed. But Ashley only used this as an excuse to leave home. In reality, the girl went to the party. When she came back home after the weekend, her father asked her what she had been doing at her grandparents' place. Ashley said she had been mostly studying upstairs. Her father immediately knew she was lying. But he didn't even call his parents to ask if what Ashley said was true. How did he understand? Ashley said she'd spent her days upstairs, but her grandparents lived in a 1-story house. I guess Ashley needed to get her story straight. Michael wants to play some games on his brother's computer. The brother usually allows him to do it, but only when Michael manages to break the code. Today, the hint is Ava 0, Kate 200, Beth 500, Olivia 0, Avery, what's the passcode? Each consonant in the word gives you 200 points, and each vowel takes away 100 points. In Ava, there's 1 consonant that gives 200 points, but then each vowel takes away 100, so it results in 0. In Kate, 2 consonants make it 400 points, and 2 vowels take away 200, which leaves us with 200 points. Now you get the pattern. So, following this logic, there are 2 consonants in Avery. That's 400 points. But 3 vowels take away 300 points altogether. It means the password is 100. Esme got lost in the forest, again. She was wandering around all day long. Finally, at dusk, she saw a spooky house where a witch lived. Esme had nowhere else to go, so she entered the house, petted the witch's cat, and asked for help. The witch had a problem of her own. "If you manage to solve it, I'll let you go. Look, I have 2 apples. I want to cut them so all 3 of us, me, you, and the cat, get the same portion. But my magical knife can only make 1 cut." How can Esme solve this problem? She should put the apples together and make a diagonal cut across them. There'll be 4 pieces. But the 2 smaller ones will make the 3rd portion, and it'll be equal in size to the other 2. An old king had no heirs to the throne, but he needed one, so he asked the smartest young people in the kingdom to gather at the palace. He gave them each an egg. Then he said that whoever took the best care of their egg and could grow a beautiful bird would be the next king or queen. Half a year later, the young people came back with gorgeous birds of different kinds. Only one girl, Scarlet, came back empty-handed. She said she couldn't do it. Surprisingly, the king announced her to be the next queen. Can you explain why? The king gave everybody a simple rock instead of a real egg, which means that no one could possibly grow a bird. Everyone else cheated except for Scarlet, and the king realized she was the only one who would make a good and fair queen. Ariana wanted to have some pocket money, so she started to work at a bookstore. At the end of her first day, she noticed that one book of the collection was missing. There was no record of someone buying it, so it must have been stolen. Ariana was an honest girl. She went to the manager and admitted she hadn't noticed the theft. But the manager just laughed and said that nothing was missing. Take another look at the bookshelf and try to figure out why. The collection only has 8 books. The 9th book is actually book number 6, but it's standing upside down and in the wrong place. Mrs. Miller has 4 daughters, Abby, Beth, Charlie, and Danny. They're identical quadruplets. Once, the woman asked the girls' teacher to let Abby go after the first class. She had an important appointment. The teacher couldn't tell the teenagers apart, and the girls wanted to have some fun. So they gave her a hint. Charlie is somewhere in the middle. Danny is on the left side of Beth and on the right of Abby. Abby is right next to Danny. Can you help the teacher identify all the girls and find out which one is Abby? So we know Charlie is somewhere in the middle, and since Danny has someone on both sides, she's somewhere in the middle too. If Charlie is the second, Danny must be the third, and since Danny is on the left side of Beth, Beth must be the fourth, and Abby the first. But it can't be true, because Abby and Danny are supposed to be next to each other. But if we switch Charlie and Danny, Danny will be right next to Abby, but still on the left side of Beth. It means that the right order is Abby, Danny, Charlie, and Beth. Abby is the first girl. Mrs. Jones' friend called her to say she had just seen one of her sons at a party, but she wasn't sure which one it was. Mrs. Jones never allowed her sons to go to parties. She asked them if any of them had been there, but the guys denied breaking the rules. Mark said he had been studying. John said he had been practicing for his piano class. And Ethan said he had been playing computer games. Can you figure out who's lying? Ethan. Look, he has a lipstick stain on his collar. A company was hiring a new manager. They wanted full commitment, so they didn't want this person to have a family. Ben and Rob came to the interview. Both of them said they weren't fathers and didn't plan to become ones. Rob had a flawless resume, but the company still hired Ben, even though he wasn't as good as Rob. Why? Before the interview, Ben had to take his teenage daughter to her ballet class. After that, he accidentally brought her pink ballet backpack with him. The HR specialist noticed it and realized Ben had a daughter. In June, all students had their final math exam. The professor looked at them and understood that one of them was going to cheat. Who was it, and how did the man figure it out? It must be this girl. It's June, and everyone is wearing t-shirts and shorts. But she's put on a sweater and high boots. She must be hiding something. George and Carter are cooking dinner for tonight. Can you see who is doing something wrong? It's Carter. Look, he's using rat poison as a salad dressing instead of oil by accident. I think I'll skip the salad tonight. Liam and Owen were camping in a forest. Suddenly, they saw a bear near their tent. Liam decided to run away, and Owen froze and stood still. Who is in danger? Liam. The bear is likely to start chasing him, and the animal will definitely be faster. If you ever find yourself in such a situation, it's better to keep your cool. Slowly move backward, keeping eye contact. Michelle and Emma were enjoying their time outside when a storm started. Michelle hid in her car that was in the middle of the beach, and Emma just kept swimming away from the shore. Who is not smart? Emma. She should get out of the water immediately and join Michelle in the car. It's dangerous to touch water during a thunderstorm. Two friends, Tom and James, went swimming after school. They found a nice spot and decided to jump from a cliff. Can you tell who's in danger? Tom. He should have examined the bottom more thoroughly. There are rocks under the cliff he chose to jump from. Oh boy. Camilla and Rachel were cleaning the house. At some point, both women entered their teenage children's bedrooms. Camilla noticed her son's phone and decided to check it. And Rachel found her daughter's diary and opened it. Who's in trouble? Both mothers aren't doing that great, checking other people's personal things. But Camilla is about to get busted. Her son is about to walk into the room. Elizabeth and Mackenzie are both late for work. They're driving over the speed limit. Who isn't smart? Elizabeth. Too many random things are lying around in her car. In case of an accident, they may hit her. Two guys, Mike and David, came to the prom looking gorgeous, but one of them isn't as rich as he wants to seem. Can you tell who it is? Look at Mike's shoes. They're all dirty. He must have been walking to the prom because he couldn't afford a car. But I'll bet his girlfriend loves him for the great guy he is, not how much money is in his pocket. Megan and Jennifer are the most popular girls at school, but one of them is poorer than the other. Can you tell who it is? It's Megan. Look at her purse. It looks like Gucci, but the logo is wrong. It must be a cheap copy of the bag. But Megan saved a lot of money, so maybe she is the smartest. Two families are going on vacation. Look at them attentively and try to figure out which family spends more money. The family on the left. Their bags have stickers on them showing they travel regularly. Or maybe the family on the right just prefers collecting fridge mags over stickers.
Mr. and Mrs. Luce have 7 daughters. Each daughter has one brother. Can you tell how many people there are in the family? The correct answer is 10. Mr. Luce, Mrs. Luce, 7 daughters, and 1 brother. Dr. Luce is a world-famous chemist.
Wow.
He has just arrived in London to attend an international science seminar. The next morning, the lab cleaner found Dr. Luce unconscious on the floor. One of the 6 lab assistants poisoned the chemist. The names of the 6 assistants are Austin, William, Oscar, Leo, DJ, and Robert. To solve this case, lab managers called the local detective, Mr. Smith. Dr. Luce left this mysterious note on the table. Here's what he wrote: 76, 20, 44, 79, 16, 22, 7. After reading the note, Mr. Smith asked the police to arrest 2 criminals. Who are the criminals? Oscar and Dustin. Remember that Dr. Loose is a chemist? He encrypted the names of his enemies using the periodic table hanging on the wall. Dr. Loose got better and returned to his work in the lab. He invited a young scientist, Oscar, for a job interview. His resume was too good to be true, so Dr. Loose decided to check Oscar's logical thinking. He offered Oscar to solve this number puzzle. Oscar cracked this task right away. What about you? Here's a little hint. You should read this puzzle from left to right and from top to bottom. Question 1. What are the next 2 rows of numbers? And question 2. Why? Here's the correct answer. Line 3 represents 2 1s. Line 4 then becomes 1 2 and 1 1. Line 5, therefore, is 1 1, 1 2, and 2 1s. Using the same logic, we can now decode line 6, 3 1s, 2 2s, and 1 1. Line 7 is 1 3, 1 1, 2 2s, and 2 1s. Dr. Loose hired Oscar and took him to the basement of the lab, but someone has changed the password on the door. Can you help the guys guess the code? This rebus is a hint. The correct password is summary. Dr. Loose offered one more riddle to his new employee.
How can a man go 8 days without sleep?
Can you help Oscar crack this one? The correct answer is easily, because people sleep at night. In the basement, Dr. Loose found out that someone had stolen his latest innovation, a superhero costume.
Oh no!
He had questioned 3 suspects. Jack, the cleaner, said,
I've been cleaning the floor in the hallway all morning. I haven't entered your office yet.
Peter, the lab assistant, said, I was working on my own project, and besides, I don't have a key to your private office. And Dr. Loose's wife, Helen, said, You never tell me anything about your work. How would I know what to steal? Dr. Loose took fingerprints from the closet where the costume was. But he found only his own fingerprints. Who stole the costume? It was Helen. She's the only one who's wearing gloves.
Oh.
After a short interrogation, Helen confessed that she had sold the costume to Dr. Loose's major enemy, Dr. Phillips. Dr. Loose went to his lab to take his invention back. A creepy guard stopped Dr. Loose at the entrance and asked for a password. Can you help Dr. Loose find out the code? See the sign on the wall? You should rearrange these letters to spell just a single word. So, the correct password is a single word. Dr. Loose entered the building and found himself in a strange place guarded by 2 people. One of the guards always says the truth, while the other one always lies. Dr. Loose doesn't know who is who. He can only ask one question to escape. What should he ask? If he asks the guard who always tells the truth, he would tell that the other guard would point to the dangerous door. And if he asks the guard who always lies, he would tell the opposite door of the truth-telling guard and point to the dangerous door. In either case, both guards will point to the dangerous door, and then Dr. Loose should just choose the other door. Dr. Loose entered the room and saw this group of scientists. Can you spot anything weird in this picture? The scientists are holding 4 slices of pizza in their hands, but only 3 pieces are missing from the pizza box. Dr. Loose entered Dr. Phillips's office. The room was empty. Can you help him find anything suspicious? Someone is hiding in the ceiling vent. Suddenly, Dr. Loose saw Dr. Phillips flying around in the superhero costume. He grabbed Dr. Loose, took him to the top of a mountain, and left him there alone. Dr. Loose wandered around and found 3 tunnels. There's an angry, hungry lion in the first tunnel. There's a huge fire in the second tunnel. And the third tunnel leads through a dinosaur lair. Which way should Dr. Loose choose? The third one. Dinosaurs became extinct millions of years ago. Dr. Loose came to a village and asked the local farmer, Rick, for a glass of water. Rick told him that he'd been struggling to divide his entire land between his 2 sons. Both of the sons have been very good to him. And now, Rick's only wish is to treat his sons fairly and divide his land equally between them. But the problem is that the land has a weird shape, and thus, there's no way to split it into 2 equal halves. Dr. Loose said,
I have an idea. It can guarantee that the land will be divided in a manner that will satisfy both sons.
Can you guess what's on his mind? All Rick needs to do is ask one of his sons to divide the land into 2 parts and tell him that the other son will have the choice of selecting one of those 2 halves. In this manner, both of them will avoid any tricks and divide the land equally. Dr. Loose was sitting at the local restaurant. He was sad because he'd lost his wallet during his adventures. He noticed a man next to him pulling a wad of $100 notes out of his pocket. Dr. Loose turned to the rich guy and said,
Hey, I have an amazing talent. I know almost every song that has ever existed.
The rich guy laughed. Dr. Loose then said,
I'm willing to bet you all the money you have in your wallet that I can sing a genuine song with a lady's name of your choice in it.
The rich man laughed again and said, Okay, how about my wife's name? Helga, Fiona, Mary, Rose, Holmes. This evening, the rich man went home poor, and Dr. Loose went home rich. What song did he sing? The Happy Birthday Song. The villagers told Dr. Loose mystical legends about the local forest. He liked creepy stories and decided to go there and see it for himself. He set off at night and soon got to the forest. He noticed a small shop nearby. The seller said, Hey bro, don't go to this forest unequipped. Take this magic potion. It will make any creepy monster fall asleep for 10 hours. Dr. Loose took 1 bottle and continued the journey. He wandered there for several hours, but he didn't see anything mysterious. Dr. Loose was about to leave right before dawn. Someone appeared in front of him. A pair of vampires that feed on humans and a siren who hunts people using her singing. So there are 3 enemies, but Dr. Loose has only 1 potion. What should he do? The sun will rise in a few seconds and vampires will run away. That's why he should pour the potion at the siren. Dr. Loose found an abandoned castle. As soon as he entered, someone locked the door. Dr. Loose found 3 ways out, but all of them were dangerous. The first path was full of hungry wolves. It was impossible to get through. The second passage was guarded by 5 vacuum cleaner robots that were reprogrammed to hunt down humans. And the third passage was filled with molten lava. What door should he choose? The second one. The vacuum cleaners might go after him, but they're pretty harmless. Finally, Dr. Loose returned to his hometown. He's also a college teacher. Unfortunately, he didn't have enough time to prepare for the upcoming class. Therefore, he offered the students this tricky lesson. There was no homework, assignments, or tests, but there was a final test that would have only 1 question on it. When everyone received the test, it was a blank sheet of paper with a question on it. What is risk? Most students managed to give their answers, but only 1 student deserved the highest grade.
Yes!
That's weird because he only wrote down 1 word. What did he write? His reply was this. Dr. Loose went on a business trip to Vienna. He felt very nervous because he was about to meet a lady he used to date in college, Jane. She's also a scientist who's currently working on immortality pills. That's why she asked Dr. Luce to come over and help her. As soon as he entered her office, he knew that something had gone wrong. 3 zombies were standing in the room. Can you tell which one is his ex-girlfriend? Take a look at Dr. Luce's hand. He has a tattoo, T plus J. So his girlfriend is the second zombie because she has a tag on her foot that says Jane.
Loki is hiking in a chanted forest. Suddenly, he gets into a magic trap. A wicked wizard, whose name is Olaf, offers him a deal. I'll set you free if you manage to crack all my riddles. First of all, organize these objects in order of invention. Olaf shows Loki a wheel, a lighter, a vase, a bow, and a light bulb. Can you help him put them into the correct positions? The bow is the oldest invention. Then goes the wheel, the ancient Greek vase, and the light bulb. And finally, the lighter. Next, Olaf shows Loki 2 pictures of his favorite fairy. Can you spot 3 differences between them? Here they are. The next task for Loki is to guess a word. Even when it passes in front of the sun, it doesn't cast a shadow. What is it? Wind. Olaf shows Loki a table with magic potions and ingredients. He marked all the ingredients with the colors that they create when added to the potion. Loki has to guess which ingredients were not used in these 3 potions. Can you help him? We need red and yellow for the orange potion. For the blue one, dark blue and white. And for the dark green potion, we need green and black. So the extra ingredient is the pink one.
Yeah!
Loki cracks the riddle, and Olaf asks the next question. What stones will you never find in a river? Do you have any clue? Dry stones. The next task for Loki is to serve the wizard's girlfriends. Roxanne says, I don't want my cocktail to have any yellow fruits or berries. Sabrina says, I want my drink to have an ingredient that starts from the first letter of my name. And Cassandra says, I don't want any green or red ingredients in my drink. There are 3 cocktails in the fridge at the moment. Can you help Loki distribute the drinks among the ladies? The second cocktail is yellow, so it doesn't have anything red or green. It's for Roxanne. The first one is for Sabrina, because it has strawberries. And the third drink is a blueberry milkshake, so it fits Roxanne's order.
Oh, yeah.
Olaf is satisfied with Loki's intelligence, and he offers him a job.
Yeah!
Loki agrees and becomes the wizard's assistant.
Yeah!
His first task is to clean the kitchen.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Olaf goes into the woods to collect some herbs. He comes across a toxic swamp and immediately gets sick. He needs a special potion. So Olaf sends Loki a letter with his crow. I need your help. Here are several recipes. Don't go anywhere. Prepare 1 potion and send it to me with the crow. Which potion should Loki make? Can you help him? Olaf says that Loki shouldn't go out, which means he can only use the ingredients that they have in the house. So Loki can't cook the first and the third potion. As for the second one, all the necessary ingredients are in her kitchen. Olaf gets better, but he still needs to stay in bed. So he sends Loki to the pet shop. The task is to buy a new cat. Olaf wants it to look like the cat that lived with him before. It must have green eyes and a one-color tail. Also, it shouldn't have any black wool. And it shouldn't be tabby. Can you help Loki find the right cat for Olaf? Only this cutie meets all the requirements. The next day, Olaf sends Loki to a wild beach to collect some rare magic seaweeds. Suddenly, Loki sees a group of beautiful ladies standing on the shore. He wants to approach. But the ladies notice Loki and begin to move in the opposite direction. Loki runs after them on the sand along the water, but he can't catch up. Then Loki looks around and realizes that he was chasing fairies. How did he know? Loki ran after those ladies on the sand, but he can only see his own footprints. The fairies were flying. Loki dives under the water to collect the seaweed. He sees a little mermaid there. Then he floats to the surface and dives again. Can you spot 3 differences under the sea? Here they are. Olaf's daughter, Salma, is a talented young witch. She likes getting into trouble. And this time, she was put in jail. Loki comes to the police station to rescue her. He pays bail, and the police officer is going to release Salma. One of these ladies is about to be free. Can you guess who? Take a closer look at the photo in his hand. Salma has brown eyes, so he should release the second prisoner. Loki and Salma should go back to the wizard's house, but the enchanted forest has many unexpected surprises. There are 3 possible routes they can take. There's a fire-breathing dragon sleeping in the first passage. There's a young magician hanging out on the second road. He hates all women, and he turns them into stones every time he meets them. And the third road runs through a toxic lake. Breathing its vapor is fatal for any living being. Which way is more or less safe? The guys can take the second route. Salma isn't just a woman, she's a witch, so she can deflect the black magic. The guys keep on walking and see an amusement park. The owner is very upset. Someone has stolen many tickets from the register. Loki offers to investigate this case. First of all, he looks through the footage. He's sure that the thief is still in the park. He questions 3 suspects. Billy says, "I rode the carousel and I got very sick, so I wouldn't ride anything else, even for free." Miles says, "I'm celebrating my 17th birthday today. My friends and I rode the roller coaster 3 times, and now it's time to go home." And Jessica says, "I only visit the Ferris wheel. It's my favorite." Miles has tricked Loki. He's too young for the roller coaster. There's a sign. People under 18 years of age can't ride it. Loki and Salma continue on their way and find 3 apple trees. Salma wants to pick some apples for a magic punch, but only one of the trees is safe. Can you guess which one? All the footsteps are leading to the first tree, but not a single animal walked away from it, so it probably has some hidden danger. There are some creepy runes on the trunk of the second tree, so it's probably cursed. Therefore, they should choose the third tree. The guys are picking the apples and putting them in Salma's hat, and suddenly they meet someone very curious. Crack this rebus if you want to know who. A bear. The guys run away from the bear and hide in a cave. Luckily, Salma managed to collect 14 apples before the escape because they met 7 hungry gnomes inside the cave. They demand payment for the shelter, How can Salma divide the fruits among the gnomes so that each gnome could get an equal amount of oranges? It's impossible because Salma doesn't have any oranges, only apples. Finally, Loki and Salma return to Olaf's house. Loki takes a look at the porch and says, "Wait a minute, something has changed since I last saw this porch. Look, I have a picture. Can you spot all the changes?" The runes at the door are now reflected. The plant from this pot is gone. The curtains have changed color, and the number of candles is different. Loki enters the house and finds Olaf unconscious on the floor. Someone put a sleeping spell on him and stole his magic tools. Loki interrogates 3 suspects among Olaf's neighbors. Cassandra says, "I just got home from a pumpkin festival. Everyone can verify my words." Ambrose says, "I've been retreating and meditating in my basement for a week. I have no idea who did it." And Roxane says, "It wasn't me, but I guess it was Cassandra. She's just jealous that Olaf decided to date me." Who did it? Take a closer look at the witch's cauldron in Ambrose's house. There's an engraving saying Olaf's property, so he's the thief. In Middleton High School, a teacher decided to play a game with students. She wrote a riddle on the board, and the first student that got the answer correctly would win a big prize. The riddle she wrote went like this: "I am clean when I'm empty, and I'm dirty when I'm full. What am I?" Barbara immediately knew the answer to this one and won the prize. Can you guess what she answered? It's a chalkboard! The answer was right in front of her all along. Gabriel is an experienced trekker. He went for a 3-day trek in the beautiful forests of Spain when he was captured by a mythical creature. The creature took him to a hidden realm and took away his backpack and all his belongings. After he took everything he needed, he left Gabriel in a dark cave all by himself. To leave the cave, Gabriel was supposed to choose one of 3 tunnels. The first tunnel had thousands of pointy crystals that could hurt him if he stepped on them. The second tunnel was filled with shadowy creatures that were eager for some of Gabriel's vitality. And the last tunnel had the belongings of an ancient wizard, his cape and some of his potions lying around. Which tunnel should he choose? I'd say the last one, right? Since it only has the wizard's belongings, the wizard himself is nowhere to be seen. Oh no, the third tunnel was a trap after all. It took Gabriel to the wizard's tower. When he walked into the tower's only room, he got locked inside it. And to make things worse, when he looked down, he saw that the tower was on fire. The room had no doors, and only a small window. Thankfully, he found there were 3 magic potions that could help him escape. The first potion had the power of giving him incredible physical strength. With the second potion, he could summon any animal he wanted to help him. And the last potion would turn into a vampire. Which potion should Gabriel choose? Well, no animal could help him escape the tower, and even if he had all the strength in the world, he wouldn't be able to beat the fire. But if he turned into a vampire, then he could transition into a bat and fly away through the little window. So the third bottle it is. Maya was exploring the realms when she opened a door that took her to Rainbowland. This world was filled with flying unicorns and colorful fairies. But they were mischievous creatures that liked playing pranks with outsiders. So, they held Maya hostage until she could figure out the answer to their riddle. They asked her, "I'm a color you can eat. What am I? Can you help Maya figure out the answer to this riddle?" It's an orange! Way to go, Maya! But the fairy people were in the mood for playing more games, so they continued with their riddles. They asked Maya, "I make two people out of one. What am I?" Maya had to think for a while to answer this one, but she got it correctly.
Yes!
What did she answer? It's a mirror! Taylor was walking through the streets of New York City when she tripped over something, fell down, and hurt her head. When she woke up, she was at the hospital with doctors asking her a bunch of questions to see if she was all right. The funny doctor, who is known for his riddles, asked her, "What has a head, a tail, is brown, and has no legs?" Can you help Taylor out here? It's a penny. You can see how this riddle is misleading, but hey, you got it right. 3 people decided to spend their vacations in Antarctica. Bianca had some trouble with the harsh weather, but felt it was worth it in the end. Pablo had a great time photographing the penguins for his social media page, and Helena got to do some fishing while she was there. On the last day of their trip, passing through airport security, one of them got caught trying to take a penguin with them in their backpack. Take a look at the picture. Can you tell who it was? Let's see what we have here. Well, is that a penguin's feet poking out of Helena's backpack? It sure is. Guess she did more than just fishing during her vacation. Kailani was swimming in a dark underwater cave when she found a gold lamp. She rubbed the lamp, and a powerful merman came out of it. The merman told her he would grant her heart's truest wish and asked her what it would be. The young mermaid was confused about what to wish for, so she went to ask her family what they wanted most. Her father said he wanted to be king. Her mother said she wanted to have a pet shark, and her brother said he wanted to marry the love of his life. The powerful merman granted Kalani one wish, but all of her family members got what they wanted. Can you guess what Kalani wished for? Kailani wished that her father, the king, attended her brother's wedding to the love of his life, and that her mother's pet shark be the one that carried the rings down the aisle. Smart girl.
Yes!
Bob was blindfolded and put into a shaky van. When he woke up, he was alone in a dark, empty room. There was nobody there, but there were 3 envelopes on the floor. A post-it on top of the envelope said, "Each envelope contains a red capsule and 2 statements. In one of these envelopes, both statements are false. In another envelope, both statements are true. You have to choose the correct capsule to get out of this alive." He opened the first envelope, saw a capsule and the messages. 1. Don't take this pill. 2. Take the pill from the second envelope. On the second envelope, the note said, 1. Don't take the pill from the first envelope. 2. Take the pill from the third envelope. And the last envelope said, 1. Don't take this pill. 2. Take the pill from the first envelope. Which capsule should Bob take? He should trust the pill from the third envelope. Let's see why. The first message of the first envelope is true, while the second is false. Both messages from the second envelope are true. This leaves us with 2 false statements on the third envelope. It's the finale of the Big Money Buzz show, and Natalie is faced with a difficult task. There are 3 fish bowls, each one of them containing a different amount of gold bars inside. If she manages to put her hand inside one of the bowls and take it out, she can keep the gold bar. The first bowl has scalding hot water inside of it. The second is filled with flesh-burning acid. And the last bowl has a couple of venomous scorpions walking around. Which bowl should she choose? Natalie should just wait until the water cools down and grab the gold bar from the first bowl.
Yes!
Nova wanted to be part of the Binary Bandits. They were an elite cybersecurity group that protected the internet world from hackers. She sent several emails to the group's members, but she was completely ignored. Until one day, she got an encrypted message with a mysterious riddle. It said that if she could answer this riddle, she would be interviewed by a member of the bandits and get a chance to be part of the group. The message said, "Invisible I am, but through circuits I flow. Harness my power and watch your knowledge grow. A key to the future, a virtual seed. Decipher my code and all secrets you'll heed. What am I?" Nova's answer was a 4-letter word, and she got it right. Can you guess what she answered? She answered, "Data." That seemed obvious, huh?
Miranda is a witch. She lives with her house elf, Bubba, in an old castle. The property's roof requires renovation. That's why Miranda hires 3 builders. She leaves Bubba with them and flies to the farmer's market. In the evening, Miranda returns and finds out that the builders have already fixed the roof and left. But someone stole the most powerful artifact from Miranda's library, an ancient snake statue. Bubba swears to have nothing to do with the robbery, and Miranda suspects the builders. Luckily, she has cameras around the castle. Take a look at the footage made in the morning and in the evening. Is it true that the thief is among the builders? This guy carried just one small tool in the morning, but the evening footage shows that he carried a large tool in his hand. Therefore, he must have hidden the stolen artifact in his briefcase. Miranda grabs her broom and flies to the thief's apartment to get her artifact back. He's not home, and Miranda decides to search the room. Can you help her find the artifact? It's in the oven. Miranda purchases a super rare and expensive orchid for her garden. Later that day, she throws a barbecue. The next morning, Miranda sees that the orchid is gone. It means that one of her guests is a thief, but they claim they didn't see the flower disappear. Miranda decides to visit and question 3 suspects. Lily says, "I've been attending your barbecue parties for years. It wasn't me. Why would I steal from my bestie?" Donna says, "How dare you? I'm not a thief. I'm allergic to all flowers. I'll never come to your party again." And Cassie says, "Oh, come on. Everyone knows that I'm super rich. I can afford to buy hundreds of orchids." Who's lying? Donna has flowers on the windows, which means that her story about the allergy is fake. The magic world is facing difficulties because the master wizard got sick. Miranda was chosen to carry out his duties. Her task is to separate magic school applicants between 2 faculties, good and evil. Here's the first candidate's profile. What do you say? Good or bad? Leo is only 18 years old, but he says that he's been involved in charity projects for 20 years. Liar! Therefore, he should join the evil faculty. What about Luna? Is she a good witch or pure evil? Luna says she's never stayed in one country for more than a year. Therefore, she can't be cleaning her grandparents' house every day, so her story is fake, and she should go to the evil faculty too. Here's the next profile. What do you say? Seems like Olaf is a good guy. What about Helga? Does she seem good to you? Helga's story is fake. There's no monkeys in Antarctica. Evil. And here's the last profile. What do you say? Magnus didn't lie, therefore he can go to the good faculty. Miranda is giving a private potion class to Amber. They prepare a luck potion in a large cauldron. Suddenly, Miranda's phone rings and she goes out for 5 minutes to talk. 5 minutes later, Miranda returns and sees that Amber is under a love spell. Can you guess what happened here? Amber added this greenish ingredient to the cauldron and the luck potion turned into a love potion. Miranda returns home. Suddenly, she hears weird noises from the basement and goes there to check it out. It's dark and Miranda only sees the silhouettes of 3 robbers running away with her box of gold. Miranda calls the police. The officer finds the suspects and invites Miranda for identification. Can you help her find the thieves among these people? Only these 3 individuals match the silhouettes perfectly. The next day, Miranda goes to see a fancy haunted castle. She meets 3 people in the lobby: Drake, Luke, and Maya. Each person claims to be the castle's official owner. Can you help Miranda figure out the real one? Take a look at Drake. He's holding a badge with Maya's picture, and according to this badge, Maya is a chef. Luke is holding a poster with Drake's picture. It says that Drake is a runaway criminal. So Luke must be the real owner of this place. The next morning, Miranda arrives at magic school. Oh no! Someone drew runes on her wall in her office. The spell turns Miranda's hair into snakes. Luckily, she knows the counterspell and quickly fixes herself up. Miranda wants to find out who pulled the prank and interrogates 3 suspects. Bella says,
I woke up late and just arrived here. I wouldn't have time for a prank.
Theodore says,
I don't use magic for silly pranks. It's against my principles.
and Alice says,
I think it was Bianca. I heard her talking bad things about you the other day.
who did it? Theodore's fingers are stained with blue chalk. The runes on the wall are drawn in the same color. Busted! Miranda enters the class and sees that one of the students is turning into a zombie. Can you guess who? Take a look at this guy's hand. He's turning into a zombie. After work, Miranda goes to the farmer's market. Can you help her sort an odd tomato out? This one. What about cheese? Which piece doesn't belong here? It's over here. Let's see if you can sort an odd cherry out. Hello! Miranda returns home. She finds her house elf, Bubba, unconscious on the floor. Bubba says that he didn't see the attacker's face because he was wearing a mask. Miranda finds 4 suspects and questions them. Morpheus says, I spent all day at home learning new spells. Morgana says, I don't know who did it. I was in my garden taking care of my lilies. And Xavier says,
I was on a date with my girlfriend all day long. We've just returned home.
Who's lying? Although Morpheus has a solid mask collection, it doesn't prove that he's guilty. Meanwhile, Morgana doesn't have any lilies in her garden. Therefore, She lied. A huge drama is taking place in the magic school library. This morning, someone tore up an expensive antique spell book. Miranda finds 3 suspects and asks them only one question. Did you enter the library this morning? Melissa replies, Nope, I spent all morning in the dining hall. My friends can verify my words. Wendy says, I was doing my homework in the classroom all the time. I would never steal a book. It's against my principles. And Nicholas says, I wanted to visit the library a couple of hours ago, but the door was locked, so I just went to the garden. Can you spot the thief? Miranda never mentioned what exactly was stolen, but Wendy is already making excuses. Miranda goes to the dining hall to have some lunch. The cook serves her favorite chicken dumplings. Miranda puts her plate on the table and leaves for the bathroom to wash her hands. When she returns, she finds out that someone had stolen a couple of dumplings from her plate. Miranda questions 3 suspects. Gil says, I'm a vegetarian. Why would I steal anything with chicken? Leah says, I'm on a wheat-free diet because I'm allergic to gluten. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't have eaten your dumplings. And Rose says, I was too busy with my food, so I didn't look at your table. Who's lying? Leah, if she's allergic to gluten, why did she order this sandwich?
Yeah.
Hey, my dear detective, I need your help today. Or rather, not me, but Gemma. She works as a manager at a large supermarket, and one morning, she receives a strange message. There's a thief among your customers. Beware.
Oh, no.
Gemma runs out of her office and sees 3 people who look suspicious. Can you help Gemma figure out who the real shoplifter is? It's the guy in the middle. If his arm was really broken, he wouldn't be able to carry that blanket. Mark's boss gave him a task to bring some important documents from his house. But when the guy arrived, he saw that the door was locked. And to get inside, he needed a password. Mark saw a sequence of numbers. 1347118. He needed to figure out the next 4 digits. They would make up the password. Can you help the guy? One and 3 together gives us 4, which is the next number. 3 and 4 are 7. Here it is. 4 plus 7 is 11. Then 7 plus 11 is 18. So the next digits are 2 and 9. 29. Since that's what you get when you add 18 to 11. And 18 plus 29 is 47. So the password is 2947. Detective Lars was chasing a criminal who had robbed a jewelry store. But the criminal managed to hide in a women's clothing store and put on a female outfit. Can you help the officer find the thief among these ladies? This elegant woman on the right is wearing the same sneakers as the criminal did during the robbery. Lauren was an archaeologist exploring ancient pyramids. Once she got lost and found herself locked in a tiny room. The worst thing was that as soon as she got into the room, the door she had entered through got blocked by a rock slide. No one knew where Lauren was. She had to get out of there on her own. The woman saw another door, but it was locked. To open it, she had to solve a riddle and enter the correct 4-digit code. Can you help Lauren figure out the code? Each digit of the code is the number of letters in the alphabet that stand between the letters in the riddle. So, we've got 5, 1, 3, and 9. That's the code Lauren needs to enter. Now let's check how attentive to detail you are. How does this colorful cube look from above? The correct variant is picture number 4. The next task, try to find all the differences between these two pictures. If you found 3 differences, congrats! Even Sherlock Holmes would be jealous of your attention skills. The evening before his girlfriend's birthday, Michael arrived at her office quite late to decorate her desk. He pretended to be a pizza delivery guy to get past the security. But when Michael finished with the decorations, he realized that the building was closed. But the worst thing was that all the guards had already left. If the guy just opened the door, the alarm would go off and the police would arrive right away. Michael found a locker with a few tangled wires inside. One of them turned off the alarm. Another was responsible for fire detectors, and the last one turned the cameras off. Which wire should the guy cut? The green one. It'll turn the alarm off. Don't let this riddle baffle you. It's not as difficult as it may seem at first. Take your time. Write down some notes, and you'll crack it in no time.
Yeah.
A small town is visited by an ice cream truck every day. On Friday, the truck comes as usual. 5 children, one from each of the first 5 houses on the street, buy different kinds of ice cream. Each of the treats has a different flavor and a completely different topping. Listen attentively to the details and try to figure out which child lives in which house and brought which ice cream flavor with which topping. Jim lives between the child who got raspberry topping and the child who bought mango ice cream. Joyce, whose house has an even number, chose cherry topping. Nancy does not live next to Joyce. Black currant ice cream had no topping. The child who lives in house number 2 bought butterscotch ice cream. The child from house number 3 did not get chocolate ice cream. Mike had banana ice cream, but he doesn't like banana cherry topping. The child who had cashew topping lives in house number 5. Dustin does not live in house number 4. Keep in mind that the odd number houses and the even numbered houses are located on opposite sides of the street. So, here's the answer. Jim lives in house number 3, and he bought blackcurrant ice cream with no topping. Dustin lives in house number 2, and he got butterscotch ice cream with banana cherry topping. Nancy lives in house number 5, and she had mango ice cream with cashew. Joyce lives in house number 4, and he bought chocolate ice cream with cherry topping. Mike lives in house number 1, and he got banana ice cream with raspberry. A long time ago, a king ruled the great kingdom of Trojan House. As part of the renovation of the kingdom to meet new security needs, he asked his chief architect to create a new construction plan. The king's idea was that all of his 10 castles should be connected with 5 straight walls, and each wall must connect 4 castles together. He also told the architect that at least one of the castles should be protected with walls from all sides. The architect could not come up with any solution, but he suggested the best plan he could think of. Here it is. Can you find a better solution? That's the solution the king will like much more. As you see, in this case, not 1 but 2 castles are protected from all sides. 12-year-old Adam knew his older brother Philip, who was 20 years old, got some money for his birthday. But however hard Adam tried, he couldn't find it. One day when Philip was away, the boy sneaked into his brother's room. There was no money, but Adam found a map. His brother had hidden his cash in the garden. Adam followed the instructions to a T. 10 steps to the left, 15 to the right, then 8 straight ahead. It must be here. The boy started to dig. He wasted 2 hours and still found nothing. Did Philip trick his brother? Due to their age and size difference, Adam's steps were smaller than his brother's. That's why he was looking for the money in the wrong place. Jason, a rich traveler, stayed in a small but expensive hotel at the seaside. During a severe storm with gale-force winds, there was a blackout. The whole area was plunged into darkness. People stayed without electricity for at least 2 hours. The problem was finally solved. But Jason discovered that during the blackout, someone had taken his wallet with a lot of cash and his credit cards. The police arrived and questioned the people who had been in the hotel at that time. Justin, the receptionist, told the detective he had been in the basement. He was trying to start an emergency generator. Unfortunately, he didn't succeed. Nicole, another guest, said she had arrived an hour before the blackout. She was exhausted. She lit several candles, unpacked, cleaned herself, and went to bed. Gregory, the hotel driver, said he'd been at the airport. A new guest had arrived and he went to pick them up. The police immediately figured out who was lying. Can you? The blackout was caused by a bad storm, and planes don't fly in such windy conditions. Then how could someone arrive by airplane? Gregory lied. Look at this picture attentively and try to figure out what's wrong here. That elderly lady is watering her plant with milk.